It is time for the top 5 segment. Man, oh man, this week it is animal movies.
Yes.
It's very interesting. Obviously brought to you by our podcast producer, Jason. Trying to figure out like movies that heavily involve animals and movies that like are strictly just about animals. It was kind of difficult. I'm not going to lie. And now just thinking about it, I mean, even more come to mind that I hold near and dear to my heart that I did not put on my list, but I'll do an honorable mention. Honorable mention, Homeward Bound. Homeward Bound is one of my favorite ones. Completely forgot about that one.
Yeah.
But for number 5, it goes to Brother Bear. This is a Disney animated film that I don't know if a lot of people saw, to be honest with you. Probably around my age generation. But this is definitely about one that, you don't really know who you are until you've been put through the ringer and been able to come out on the other side and figure out what type of person you are. And you figure out how to approach life from those circumstances and from those events. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes, like I said, good experiences, sometimes bad experiences, but it's definitely a good one, definitely one that gets me teared up every single time. But yeah, number 5 for me is Brother Bear.
Well, there you go. My number 5 is also a Disney movie, but live action, starring the late, great Paul Walker. 8 Below. Now, this is about a guy and his sled dogs who are caught in a blizzard, and he's forced to leave them to survive on their own because he needs to survive. And so the film is about the journey of the 8 sled dogs and what they have to do to survive this blizzard and the freezing conditions. And Paul Walker's actually just kind of like a secondary co-star to these dogs. It's so realistic though, like what these dogs are forced to have to do to survive during this, and they may or may not all survive. I don't want to blow it for anybody, but it's not necessarily not a tearjerker movie. It is. But check this one out, 8 Below, and it's a really good Paul Walker film, and it's a really good story. And check that one out. 8 Below.
For sure. Number 4 for me goes to just the Madagascar franchise. I mean, this one is a tale of friendship and just going through multiple different stages in your life or multiple different experiences that you go through in life that you can just experience with your friends. Some good, some bad, definitely all learning experiences. But yeah, it's definitely one that a lot of people can relate to, and it's a good one for the adults as well. You don't feel like you're just dragging like Hotel Transylvania 3. So there's that. Number 4 for me, just the Madagascar franchise.
Well, there you go. Number 4 for me is another real life story, Dolphin Tale. This is, of course, about the beloved dolphin Winter, who was caught up in some fish nets, and they had to amputate her tail. And she was at risk of dying because she couldn't swim anymore, and not being able to swim when you're a dolphin, not good news. So they had to groundbreakingly make a prosthetic tail for the dolphin, and she had to learn how to swim with this prosthetic tail. It's a heartwarming story that's just Ashley Judd and Harry Connick Jr. and Morgan Freeman. Just a phenomenal film. And sadly, it worked. It was successful, and Winter was like amazing and had like this great life, but she just recently passed. So that was sad to hear, but this is a really great movie and really family friendly. So definitely check that one out too.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Number 3 for me is like on everybody's film about animals is The Lion King. I mean, come on now, like coming to age film, obviously, with Simba, but then your relationship with your parents and your dad, and then once your parents die, like all that shit. But I mean, come on now. I was actually a fan of the live action remake. I thought it was very well done. Thank you, Jon Favreau. Had an amazing cast: Beyonce, Donald Glover, James Earl Jones, of course. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't like Lion King? Come on now. Come on.
It's a huge childhood memory or young adult memory for me, and it may or may not be on my list too. Number 3, Turner and Hooch for me, the beloved Tom Hanks film about the big old slobby mouthed dog who's his partner, and ends up not surviving in the movie, but hey, we know the Hooches lived on in the series of Disney Plus, which they shouldn't have canceled. But this is a great film. This is about, a man and his dog and the love for a dog that you can have and how they become family and what they'll do for their owners. And it's just, it's heartwarming, it's heartbreaking, it's funny, it's sad. It's a great film. If you loved, man and his best friend, you got to check out Turner and Hooch. Come on.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I mean, speaking of man and best friend, Marley and Me. That is my number 2. Owen Wilson, obviously Jennifer Aniston. Amazing cast right there. But I think this film represents, your emotional support system and how even if they're a little crazy, even if, they're a little out there, they will always be there for you until the very end. Especially, in this film where the dog starts off as a crazy-ass puppy and grows up to be even a bigger crazy-ass puppy and wreak some havoc, but then it's always just so sad because you really do gain a family member out of household pets. I mean, they stick with you through everything. They'll listen to you. They really are your emotional support system, and everybody needs a therapy dog or a therapy cat or a therapy animal. So that's why number 2 is Marley and Me.
For sure. My number 2 is the first blockbuster film and the one that had everybody scared to fucking go in the water. Not just the ocean. You were scared to get in the fucking bathtub after this, okay? I'm, of course, talking about Jaws. How can you not have this one on the list? It was terrifying about a fucking giant-ass shark that was taking revenge out and killing people. Jaws. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I think at this point, everybody on the face of the planet has seen the fucking film. I would hope so. And if you haven't, check it out.
For sure, man. For sure. Number 1 for me goes to The Jungle Book. Just for, basically the mentorship, how it shows you that you can have family without them being blood related or even not even the same like human race. They could be fucking animals, like I said in Marley and Me. But basically what Baloo and I forget the panther's name was able to do for Mowgli, just to raise him as their own, and obviously the wolf pack. It's a beautiful film. It's definitely one of my favorite animated Disney films of all time. I'm not a fan of any of the live action ones they've tried to remake or do anything like that. I just think they're god awful. Even the one with Bill Murray as Baloo, that one didn't have any music in it, and Jungle Book has one of the best soundtracks of all time, so it's like, what the fuck? But overall, the story is amazing. The book's amazing. I used to have it growing up, so I read that multiple times, but that's why number 1 for me is The Jungle Book.
Yeah, well, my number 1 is, as I said, popping up on the list, The Lion King. I mean, this was groundbreaking for its time. For anybody who doesn't know, Disney was kind of in a slump with their animation. And Jeffrey Katzenberg at that time was heading up Disney Animation, and it was Michael Eisner, and they were on a mission to revamp and revitalize Walt Disney's animation studios, for which they were built on. And The Lion King was the result. The Lion King came out and made massive numbers, and for a while was like the largest grossing film. It's largest grossing animated film still, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a massively huge success, and I think for all the reasons that you said, it's about family and the coming of age and your first love and your dad and your mom and your scary uncle and like all these different things about growing up and what that means, but done through the tale of lions and the jungle. And I just thought it was a brilliant film. I thought it did wonders for bringing back, beloved Disney animation, which at that time was needed, and was just a fan fave movie, and one of my faves for sure for all time.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. What is your number 1 animal movie? We want to know. Be sure to leave a like in the comment section on YouTube, or leave a comment on our podcast description, or add us on Twitter at JLoFantastic and at the Crazy Ant Guy 1970. Be sure to go out to the box office this weekend, because Doctor Strange is still rocking and rolling at number 1. And if you haven't seen it, it is definitely a conversation starter. It came in at number 1 with $61.8 million. The Bad Guys came in at number 2 with $7 million. Number 3 was Sonic and the Hedgehog 2 with $4.7 million. Number 4 was Firestarter, despite everybody saying it was trash, with 3.8 million. And number 5 was Everything Everywhere All at Once with $3.3 million.
$3.8 million, though, for a big budget film for the entire weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard it's awful.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. And look, Strange is going to hold on this weekend too for its third week in the row. But let's be honest about it. It's dropping next week with Top Gun.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. The new movies that are coming out in the upcoming weeks: Downtown Abbey, A New Era. I know a lot of people are excited about that. Men, obviously Top Gun next week. Bob's Burgers movie next week as well, and Julia. What?
I just have to question the thought process behind the folks with Bob's Burger. Why the fuck would you agree to a release date against Top Gun Maverick?
Well, I don't think the same people are going to go see both of those movies. I think it's two completely types of different people. I'm just saying. So I don't even think they're thinking about it like that.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a vacuum. I think Top Gun's going to just like vacuum up all the profits and everybody else is going to suffer.
I think probably like 120. I think Top Gun will bring in 120.
Really? You don't think it's going to be higher than that?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I said off air, a lot of kids that I talk to in day-to-day life, teenagers, they're not interested in seeing Top Gun. A lot of older people from your generation are interested. So
there's people younger than me that want to see it though. No, there are. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, but like you're saying that, you don't believe me when I say kids don't want to see it. So
no, look, if you're mid-20s, maybe not. It'll be a huge mistake. You'll catch on after you see it out. Yeah, I bet people will go see it because word of mouth is going to make that age group want to see it. But there is a huge range group of 30 and older, and then my generation that are most definitely going to see it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's going to do bigger than 120.
All right, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I'm thinking closer 160, 180.
All right, we'll see. You think it's going to put up Marvel Doctor Strange numbers?
I think it's going to come close. I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 120 to 150.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be closer to 150, though.
For sure. We'll see. Movies you can still go see this week are Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, The Northman, The Lost City. You can stream that now. Family Camp, and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
I still have no idea what that is.
I don't either. And be sure to head over to IMDb Pro, subscribe to this thing. If you're trying to break into the entertainment industry, it is definitely worth it. The top trending movie, of course, is still Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The top trending show is Better Call Saul, and the top trending star is Amber Heard for the third week in a row for nothing good. Of course, guys, thank you for getting a little crazy with us on episode 195 of Inside the Crazy Ant Farm. Be sure to follow our guest, Deanna Bermudez, on Instagram, because that's where she is. And of course, we have to thank her one more time for coming back on. She's a massive star now, so I mean, to take time out of her day, we really appreciate it. Be sure to follow the company and podcast on social media, guys. We're at Crazy Ant Media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, ITCAFpodcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And you guys know you can follow us both personally on social media, myself at JLoFantastic, and
Crazy Ant Guy 1970.
Yep, and you guys know you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast: Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. And if we can figure out all of our shit with Adobe, you can find us on YouTube. Be sure to hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest notifications. Be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. Got everything for everybody. Man, oh man, yeah, there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened this week, and not a lot of good stuff, but I'm curious to see, like we talked about just a second ago, how Top Gun will do, and I'm curious to see what Marvel is going to do with Stan Lee's likeness.
I'm hoping it's just respectful and just not over the top crazy. I just don't want to see that. As a Stan Lee fan and a Marvel fan, I just don't want to see that. Super excited about She-Hulk. I think that's going to kick ass. I'm super excited about all the Star Wars stuff coming. Massively grateful that 911 and The Resident were renewed. Not that I was ever worried, but hey, you never know in this crazy world. And super excited to see all the new stuff that's coming, because there were a lot of new shows announced. So, and just glad to see that one of them that wasn't is Bull.
Yeah, right? Finally. Been saying that for 5 years. They finally listened. Oh, man. But you guys know we got to honor the one, the only, Oprah!